Machiavelli never wrote about discipline as a virtue for its own sake, something practiced purely for moral improvement or personal peace. He wrote about it as a weapon, because a person who fully controls themselves is nearly impossible to control, predict, manipulate, or defeat through ordinary means. Most people reveal their weaknesses through what they can't resist: their temper, their cravings, their need for comfort or approval. The disciplined reveal nothing, and in a world built on exploiting weakness, that silence becomes its own form of power. Here's how Machiavellian discipline actually works, and why the people who master it become quietly, unsettlingly powerful in ways most people never fully understand. Discipline removes your exploitable weaknesses. Every vice, every impulse you can't fully control functions as a door someone else can eventually learn to open at will. Machiavelli understood, through decades of observing courts and rulers, that anyone who was a slave to comfort, pleasure, anger, or approval could always be manipulated by whoever learned to offer or threaten those exact things at the right moment. The undisciplined person is fundamentally predictable. Offer them enough of what they secretly crave, or threaten to remove it, and you can quietly steer their decisions without them ever fully realizing they've been steered at all. The disciplined person, by contrast, closes every one of those doors deliberately, one at a time, over years, until there's simply nothing left in them for anyone else to pull or exploit. Bing promises no one is watching. True discipline was never meant to be performed for an audience. Machiavelli believed it's proven precisely in the moments no one will ever witness, verify, or reward. A person's real character, he argued, was revealed not by grand public displays of virtue and self-control, but by what they consistently chose to do when the outcome carried no observers, no applause, and no immediate consequence for failing. Waking early, when absolutely no one would ever know if you hadn't. Finishing difficult work when praise wasn't guaranteed or even likely. This kind of private, unwitnessed consistency builds something that public performance simply never can. A person who trusts themselves completely, because they've quietly tested and confirmed that trust in private, repeatedly, without needing permission, encouragement, or witnesses of any kind. Consistency signals danger to the undisciplined. There is something quietly unsettling, even threatening, about a person who does exactly what they say they'll do every single time, without excuses, delays, or convenient exceptions. Machiavelli recognized that unpredictable, impulsive people were relatively easy to underestimate and manage, but consistent people were almost impossible to read, manipulate, or outmaneuver, simply because their steady behavior offered no chaos or weakness for anyone to exploit. To someone who lives entirely by impulse and momentary feeling, a disciplined person's calm, unwavering consistency doesn't feel neutral. It feels like a silent challenge, an uncomfortable mirror reflecting back exactly how much control they themselves genuinely lack. This is precisely why disciplined people are so often quietly resented, even mocked, long before they're ever fully respected or understood by those around them. Delayed gratification as strategic patience. Machiavelli's most successful princes rarely seized every advantage the very moment it first appeared before them. The wisest among them waited, calculated carefully, and struck only when the timing genuinely served their larger goals. Discipline at its core is the daily practice of that exact same patience, choosing the harder, slower path today, because you clearly understand its value will compound far beyond anything short-term impulse could ever realistically offer. The undisciplined chase immediate reward and mistakenly call it opportunity, seizing whatever feels good in the moment. The disciplined recognize that most immediate rewards are actually traps, quietly designed to keep people small, distracted, comfortable, and easy to predict or manage over time. Every single delayed impulse, no matter how minor it seems, becomes a small rehearsal for the far larger patience that real, lasting power eventually and inevitably demands. Self-mastery makes you unreadable. A person ruled by hunger, temper, ego, or comfort unknowingly broadcasts their next move constantly, without ever realizing it. Anyone paying close enough attention can accurately predict exactly what will break their focus, patience, or resolve. Machiavelli valued unpredictability highly as a form of genuine protection, and self-mastery is unpredictability's true foundation, because no one can accurately predict or manipulate a person who has already conquered the very impulses everyone else assumes will eventually win out. When your discipline quietly removes the obvious levers people naturally expect to pull, anger, desire, impatience, need for approval, you become strategically invisible in a way most people never achieve, difficult to bait, corner, or manipulate through any of the usual ordinary means that work on almost everyone else. Discipline ends the need for external validation. The undisciplined constantly need reassurance, encouragement, and quiet permission from others simply to remain consistent, which unknowingly hands enormous, ongoing power to whoever happens to provide that validation. Machiavelli's ideal ruler needed no one's approval whatsoever to act correctly or stay the course, because their internal standards were self-verified and entirely independent of outside opinion, praise, or criticism. When your discipline doesn't require witnesses, applause, or ongoing encouragement to sustain itself over time, you effectively remove the single most common lever that people instinctively use to control others' behavior: the deep need to be seen, praised, or validated by someone else. This quiet, self-contained independence is precisely what makes truly disciplined people so remarkably difficult to influence, guilt, or manipulate through conventional social pressure. None of this is about becoming rigid, joyless, or emotionally distant from the people around you. And Machiavelli never intended discipline to replace genuine human connection or warmth. It's about understanding something he returned to again and again throughout his writing and his life. The person who controls themselves completely can never truly be controlled by anyone else, no matter how skilled or determined that person might be. That kind of discipline doesn't need to announce itself loudly, seek recognition, or perform for an audience to prove its existence. It simply becomes, quietly and undeniably, over time, the most intimidating thing in the room. Not because it seeks to intimidate, but because it answers to nothing and no one but itself,